You are listening to the Her Fertility Podcast. I'm Jess Tims. I'm a certified fertility doula, and after my own experience with infertility, I knew there had to be a better way to support couples on their journey to parenthood. And this is the podcast where science meets soul on the fertility journey. And today's episode is a really important one. I'm talking about how your nervous system directly affects your fertility, and I'm going to give you 5 steps to regulating it so that you can support conception naturally, emotionally, and physiologically. This is a masterclass of sorts. So whether you are driving, walking, or curled up with a warm cup of tea, then take a breath with me right now, because this space is for you, for your healing, your body, and your journey. I am joining you from a very rainy Southern California, which we don't get a lot here. We typically have a lot of sunshine, but when we do get some rain, I absolutely love the shift. So in this episode, we're going to be shifting a little bit from the guest speakers and the stories, and we're going to give you tools for your fertility journey. And I really believe that this is one of the biggest missing links on the fertility journey that nobody else is talking about. So if you're here, it's likely because you want to get pregnant and you might be feeling that this journey is just not going the way you want it to go. So maybe you are deep in IVF cycles, maybe you've experienced pregnancy loss, maybe you've seen a bunch of negative pregnancy tests and they just feel like a punch in the stomach every time. Maybe you're exhausted from tracking and timing and supplements and doing all the right things and still not seeing results. And if that's you, first, I completely understand because I have been there, and I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You're not behind. Your body is not failing you, and there is a pathway forward. One that really honors both the science and the soul of your fertility, because oftentimes we get really looped into the science, and for good reason. I'm all for the science, but we really lose this soul aspect. And today I'm going to ground this into a tangible thing for you. So in this episode, we are going to learn how your nervous system is impacting your reproductive system and why stress can disrupt hormones, ovulation, and cycles. We've heard that, but what's really beneath the cover there? We're going to talk about the mind-body connection and really what it means for your fertility in a way that you can take control of. I will, of course, ground this down in evidence-based research, linking stress to your fertility outcomes. And I'm going to give you 5 practical regulation tools that you can use today. So by the end of this episode, you are going to feel informed, grounded, and in your power rather than being overwhelmed. And if you know someone on a fertility journey, please share this episode with them, because essentially this is like a free masterclass from someone who has been doing this work for a very long time. And I have supported many couples on their fertility journey. And in this episode, I'm going to give you the tools that actually work for free on the Her Fertility Podcast. Because on my own fertility journey, I can really only describe the feeling that I felt as desperate. I was desperate for answers. For over 2 years, I did everything right. I tracked, I scheduled, I changed my diet, I added supplements, I read every book. Podcasts weren't that big back then, but if there was one on fertility, I would listen to it. Yet every month I saw a negative pregnancy test. And I was met with that same grief. And I don't even know if grief is the right word, because if you are familiar with this, it almost like ebbs and flows, right? Like there are so many sides to this feeling, but it definitely was all consuming. I became bitter. I was angry. And most of all, I became very disconnected from my own body. I didn't trust my body. I didn't feel safe in my body. I felt betrayed by my body. And it felt like this endless cycle that I was running very fast on, but I was just in this loop that I couldn't get off of. And then everything changed for me the moment that I invested in a yoga membership. And some of you have heard this story, but after over a year of just spinning my wheels, I decided to invest in myself in a year-long yoga membership. And it unexpectedly became my sanctuary. It was a place where I could cry on my mat, I could release my frustration, and I could actually feel my emotions instead of shoving them down. And slowly, I learned that my nervous system was very dysregulated, that my body needed safety before I could even consider getting pregnant. And it was a real turning point for me. Now, it was a real embarrassing turning point for me because, yes, I was that woman on her yoga mat crying like every class. I would like hide in the back corner. And sometimes I would just lay there, letting the tears fall out of my face. And I have not returned to that yoga studio since then. But it really became my container, this space where I could process, right, everything that was in my body and let that energy out. And even though I had heard about nervous system, right? Like I had heard about the nervous system. I was not somebody who identified with having like anxiety or deep depression. I definitely experienced all of the emotions in between, but I felt that I had control over my nervous system as if you could have control over your nervous system. But I just felt like I've got this, right? Like I can handle a lot of stress. And in what I learned, which I'll teach you in this masterclass, is why I now teach nervous system regulation as a foundation for fertility, because we have largely been conditioned to accept and handle a dysregulated nervous system. And it isn't until it's often too late that we start to say, oh, maybe my nervous system needs some support. But really, it is the key to our fertility health. And this isn't just my story. I've worked with many women who were told the famous, oh, just relax. You're stressing too much. It'll happen when you stop trying. Have you heard that before? But no one told them how. Like, I really believe when people say those things, it's coming from a good place. Like, the intention is not to be harmful. But when you're on the receiving end, it is like so harmful to hear those things. And I think largely it's because nobody has given us the tools. Nobody has explained what stress actually does to the body or how to reverse it. And also, when you're saying like, just relax, or you're stressed too much, or it'll happen when you stop trying, what it's doing is it's putting the ball in your court, like as if you have control over this. But the nervous system is so much more complex than that. And so it's really oversimplifying what's going on. So let me give you a quick example before we dive into all the goodness. One of my clients was a very high performing CEO. She runs the show. She's a total boss when it comes to her work. And she became pregnant just after 2 months of implementing the techniques I'm going to share with you today, not because she tried harder, but because she finally started to feel safe in her own body around her fertility journey, which is the language of the nervous system. And so this work really matters because your fertility is not just physical, right? It's not just your hormone results or your ovulation predictor kits and all of that. It's also emotional, it's neurological, and it's a deeply spiritual experience. And when we ignore those components, they start to speak louder sometimes. So before I jump into the 5 steps, I want to give you a quick reminder. You do not need perfection on this journey. You just need consistent, gentle support and a willingness to take small, compassionate steps forward. Sometimes this feels like a really overwhelming journey, but the smallest things can make the biggest difference. And they're often the things that we think like, oh, I don't need that. So let's get into the science first. So in understanding the nervous system and its connection to our reproductive system, we have to fully accept that they are deeply connected. And really, the nervous system is deeply connected to all of the systems in our body. And so when your nervous system detects stress, whether it's emotional stress, actual physical stress, like you're running a marathon, or perceived stress, like you're reading an email from your boss that you don't want to be reading, the nervous system shifts resources away from systems in your body and then moves those resources towards survival. And in a simple way, we can see this when we are speaking on stage in front of someone. So if you are public speaking and you get up on that stage and you're in front of a room full of people and you feel your heart rate start to beat faster, this is your nervous system at work. Your nervous system is responding to the fact that you are about to talk to people who are listening to you, and you're standing in front of them, so they're all staring at you. And your nervous system is taking resources, which in this case is blood flow, and it's speeding that up, right? It's reacting in the body. You might get some sweaty palms. You might turn, if you're like me, you turn red in the face, right? These are all reactions in the body because of things going on in your nervous system. Now, when we apply this to reproduction, I really like to use the analogy of running from a lion here to like oversimplify what's going on, but I think it works. So if we were running from a lion back in the day, like human beings are trying to run from safety, right? Your body is going to respond to that danger by pumping blood flow to your muscles, by helping you breathe faster to get oxygen into your legs so you can run faster away from that lion. And at the same time, it's going to reallocate those resources away from your reproductive system, because the last thing it can do is like reproduce in that moment. You are in what we call fight and flight. And in fight and flight, the body cannot also conceive and care for another human being. Because let's face it, human being babies are high maintenance. They need a lot. There are other species where, the baby is born, hatches out of the egg, whatever it is, and the parents are not even there, right? Like some species lay their eggs and leave, and then the babies hatch at some point in time and they just go on surviving on their own. Human babies are not that way. We lovingly love them so much, but they need a lot of things from us. They cannot survive on their own. So our bodies know that intuitively. And when the nervous system detects stress, whether that's emotional stress, perceived stress, or actual stress, it's going to shift resources away from reproduction and toward survival. And what this does in our bodies in today's society, because we're not running from lions, is it starts to have an impact on our reproduction. This can look like delayed ovulation, disrupted menstrual cycles, reduced progesterone, affected implantation, and interference with hormonal communication, because our hormones are always communicating. I like to say they're like a symphony in the body. They're all playing this beautiful piece of music together, even though each hormone is like an individual instrument. And so this isn't your fault, it's your biology. And understanding this is the first step in reclaiming control. So the nervous system has two main states. We have the sympathetic, which is our fight, flight, freeze, fawn stage. And then we have the parasympathetic, which is the rest, digest, and reproduce stage. And conception and getting pregnant thrives in the parasympathetic state. The challenge is we don't know when the body is in the parasympathetic or the sympathetic. We don't know. There's no light bulb that goes on. There's no like switch we can flip. There's no indicator, except for when we are like in the sympathetic or the fight and flight for too long. That's when we start to get things like anxiety, chronic headaches, infertility, right? That is when we are in the sympathetic too long. Everybody is different in the way that it responds to it. But when you are chronically stressed, overwhelmed, emotionally overloaded, your body gets stuck in the sympathetic mode, making reproduction really deprioritized in the body. And this doesn't mean that you need to be happy all the time. Happiness does not mean rest and digest. It means that your body needs moments of coming out and down from the sympathetic. So like out and down from the flight, fright, freeze, fawn. And moments of grounding, moments of regulating. And because we don't have that indicator light that goes on, we have to do this ourselves. And unfortunately, in our society, we have not built this in to our common understanding of how our bodies function. And so it can feel like a waste of time. It can feel like you're doing something selfish. It can feel like it can wait till later. When in reality, especially when you are trying to get pregnant or you're trying to heal from something or you're trying to better your life, really, we need to be making this a priority. Your body is not a machine. Your hormones are not on switches. Like we can't just turn them off and on. Your fertility is also not separated from your emotional experience, what you feel. So your fear, your hope, your grief, that pressure you're putting on yourself, that deep longing to be a parent, it all lives inside your nervous system. And your nervous system lives inside your fertility, right? Like they're always communicating. And when you begin to nurture the whole system, the mind, the body, the soul, everything shifts. So there is a growing body of research showing that high cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, interferes with ovulation. We also know that emotional stress can alter cycle length. We know that chronic nervous system dysregulation impacts progesterone, which is important in your luteal phase. And we know that stress reduction techniques can improve conception rates. We have studies to support all of these facts. So your emotional world isn't just in your head, it's in your body, it's in your hormones and how they're playing out, and it's in your fertility. And so you might be sitting there like, okay, great, I get that. I get that it's all connected, but what do I do? And I want you to really hear these steps and then pick the one that works best for you. Everybody is unique. What makes you feel safe, regulated, grounded, calm is going to be different from what I feel. And in my work with my one-on-one clients, we work through a lot of this, like how to find the thing for you. I'll give you an example. I have a client that I'm working with right now, and I just can't help but laugh because she wants to do all of the things right. And so she's been going to acupuncture religiously to help support her fertility. And there was something about in the way that she would talk about acupuncture that I was like, do you find, like I had to ask, I was like, do you find that acupuncture helps you like feel grounded and regulated and calm? She's like, no, I hate it. I don't like it at all. I'm anxious. I don't like it. And so I gently was like, well, maybe it's not for you then. I understand there's research to support acupuncture. I'm a huge fan of acupuncture for myself. I'm a huge fan for it in promoting fertility, but it is not for everyone. So just because something is for everyone doesn't mean it's necessarily for you. But sometimes we need permission for it not to be for us. So I'm going to give you these 5 ideas and I want you to try them on. So try them on and then just see which one feels the best for you. And whichever one that is, do more of that thing, right? So the first one is breath work that extends the exhales. There's a beautiful thing that happens when the exhale is longer than your inhale. It is an automatic switch into rest and digest. It's like this little hack. It's awesome. And it's one that you can use at any time. So if you are in the car and you're feeling frustrated, if you are at work and you're feeling overwhelmed that, whatever's happening in your fertility journey, you can do a breath pattern of breathing in for 4 and then exhaling for 6. And it's going to signal safety in the body and it's going to start lowering your cortisol levels automatically. And so this is something you can do at any time. The only rule here is your exhale has to be longer than your inhale. So counting helps, right? You can count in for 4, count out for 6. The second one is what we call somatic releasing. Soma is the body. So somatic releasing is releasing energy out of the body. And this can simply look like shoulder rolls, right? Like rolling your shoulders. It can look like shaking or tapping, jumping, like doing a couple jumping jacks really shifts things in the body. The key with somatic release is something repetitive. So even walking is a form of somatic release, and it helps discharge any extra energy, which is another way of saying like stored stress in the body. Okay, the third one is touching the ground, the earth. Like get your feet on the earth in any way that you can. There is a beautiful energetic field in our beautiful planet Earth that when we tap into, it is like so healing for our bodies. So this looks like, just being in nature, but if you can get barefoot in nature, that is a bonus, and it doesn't have to be for long. So just go, it's called grounding or earthing. I think there's some other names for it too, but just go touch the earth. Okay, number 4, connecting with your heart. There's a beautiful company called HeartMath, and HeartMath's full focus is studying the power of our heart, the energy in the heart, and they are doing some beautiful research to show that the energy of the heart is more powerful and more intuitive than the energy of our brain. And so by putting your hand on your heart and also put your other hand on your low belly, you're going to start to activate your vagus nerve, which is like the key nerve in this whole nervous system, and just start to breathe in through the hand in the heart space. I really like this one because it's simple and you can do it from anywhere. So hand on heart, hand on belly, a couple breaths. Okay, the last one is reframes. Something that nobody tells us is that we are not our thoughts, and sometimes we have to like actively counter the thought. So reframes is what I call actively countering the thought. So you're going to replace any panic thoughts, any thoughts that are like, this is never going to work, I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, all of those, you know them well. You're going to replace them with a grounded truth statement that stabilizes your nervous system. And so this is where the idea of affirmations starts to like sound and feel nice, but just saying affirmations can be limiting in the effectiveness, right? So by really actively using the statements when a panic thought comes in is how best they're used. Just repeating affirmations over and over and over is not going to do much for you. And it might actually cause some frustration for you because your mind is going to be like, what are we doing here? But if you can use those affirmations to start replacing the negative thoughts, that is when they become more powerful. And so you have these 5 steps now. Try them all on, and you might want to listen back to this episode and like write them down and then try them on and just see which one works best for you. I know for me, the extended exhale is like my key when I'm at the end of the day, I'm tired, I need to wash the dishes, and I'd rather be doing anything else. I can just take a couple deep breaths with a long exhale, and it really shifts my whole body. And I really, really enjoy using that one. And so you might still be thinking like, Jess, how do I actually apply this to my daily life without feeling some sort of way, without feeling like overwhelmed or silly or like this is a waste of time? The truth is you do have to try it out for your own, but you can also get a more supported path forward. And this is why I created the Fertility Frequency Portal. And so if you're one of those that like, this all just feels kind of up in the air for you, the Fertility Frequency Portal will ground it down for you. So this is a digital resource where it has so much goodness in it for your nervous system. There are nervous system tools, mind-body tools. There's workshops in there. We're going to be doing more workshops next year, which I'm super excited for. They're only available for people inside the Fertility Frequency portal. There's emotional support resources. There's videos, there's audios. It's a library, right? Like it's a digital library for you to at any point just click play from anywhere at any time, and you will get everything we talked about in this episode right there, or from your phone, from your computer, from wherever you're at. And it is specifically designed for the fertility journey. And the beautiful part about it is it's all science-backed. It's a very gentle, simple approach, right? Like you don't have to sit down and watch a huge course. You don't have to like waste your time with stuff that isn't for you. You simply pick the one that's for you, you listen to it, and then you are regulated. It's so cool. So inside the Fertility Frequency portal, you'll get a comprehensive digital library, step-by-step nervous system regulating tools. You're going to get somatic release exercises on those days where it just feels so in your body, like your body's like shaking, those days. You're going to want to use a somatic release exercise from the portal. You can also access videos that are for you and your partner. So a lot of times couples feel really disconnected on this journey. And so I purposely put in videos that you can do together on the journey. There's also videos specific to your experience. So if you are using IVF, if you are processing after a loss, it's all in there for you. And the cool part is it's only $22. That's it. And you can use it for as long as you like. And when you're done, you can be done with it, right? So if today's episode resonated with you, if you really believe in this whole nervous system thing and you're ready to approach your fertility journey with more groundedness, more clarity, more emotional release, then I would love to welcome you into the Fertility Frequency portal. There's a link below in the show notes, and I am so excited to bring this into our support toolbox because it is something I wish I had. I was not someone who wanted to like show up to a group session. I was not someone who really wanted many people to know. It was almost like I didn't want to tell anybody, but I wanted to tell somebody about what was going on. And so that's why I created this as a portal that you can use on your own at any time. It's like your own little pocketbook of resources that you have to use when you need it most. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Her Fertility Podcast. If the Fertility Frequency portal sounds like a supportive tool for you, then check out the show notes below to get access today.